You will never become the woman you're meant to be if you keep protecting the version of yourself that feels comfortable. I know why you're here. You've been strong for so long, too strong. You've carried expectations, disappointments, labels, and silent prayers on your back, and smiled through it all. This is not a soft talk. This is a loving one, because growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from the truth. Before you step into 2026, there are truths you don't want to hear, but you need to accept, not to break you, to free you. Let me walk with you, step by step. There comes a moment in a woman's life that feels quiet on the outside, but seismic on the inside. It doesn't announce itself with drama. It doesn't come with applause. It comes with exhaustion. The kind of exhaustion that settles into your bones when you realize you've been waiting for someone to notice your effort, waiting for someone to choose you without hesitation, waiting for life to finally feel fair. And in that still moment, a hard truth whispers to you, no one is coming to save you. This truth can feel cruel at first. It can feel like abandonment, but it is actually the beginning of freedom. From the time we are young, many women are taught to believe that rescue will arrive in the form of a person, a relationship, a title, or a moment. We are taught to be patient, to be good, to be accommodating, and in return, life will reward us. But life doesn't work that way. Life responds to courage, not compliance. And the longer you wait to be rescued, the more years you quietly trade away. I learned this when I stepped into rooms where no one looked like me, sounded like me, or believed I belonged there. There was no hand reaching out to pull me up, no voice saying, "You're ready now." There was only a choice, either stay where it was safe and familiar, or step forward alone. And that's when it became clear. Strength doesn't arrive when someone saves you. Strength is born the moment you decide to save yourself. Waiting feels comfortable because it removes responsibility. If you're waiting, failure isn't your fault. If you're waiting, rejection can be blamed on timing. But waiting slowly teaches you to doubt your own power. It convinces you that your life is on hold until someone else gives you permission to begin. And that belief is far more dangerous than fear. When you accept that no one is coming to save you, something extraordinary happens. You stop asking, "Will they choose me?" and start asking, "What do I choose?" You stop outsourcing your worth to the opinions of others. You stop shrinking your dreams to fit into spaces that were never meant to hold you. This doesn't mean you won't need help. It doesn't mean you won't be supported. It means you understand the difference between support and dependency. Support lifts you as you climb. Dependency keeps you seated, hoping someone will carry you. There is a quiet dignity in self-rescue. It looks like making hard decisions when no one is cheering. It looks like leaving situations that drain your spirit, even when staying would be easier. It looks like choosing discipline over comfort, honesty over illusion, growth over approval. These moments don't make headlines, but they build character, and character builds destiny. Many women mistake loneliness for failure, but sometimes loneliness is simply the sound of you outgrowing the life you once accepted. When you stop waiting to be saved, you may walk alone for a while, and that's okay. Solitude is not punishment. It is preparation. It teaches you to trust your own voice, to rely on your own strength, to listen to your own intuition without the noise of outside expectations. Self-rescue is not loud. It doesn't need validation. It is a private promise you make to yourself. I will not abandon me. Not for love, not for comfort, not for fear. And once you keep that promise, something shifts. You carry yourself differently. You speak with clarity. You stop negotiating your worth. As 2026 approaches, understand this deeply. The life you want is not waiting for someone else to arrive. It is waiting for you to arrive. Fully, honestly, courageously. The moment you stop waiting for rescue is the moment you step into leadership over your own life. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not missing anything. You are simply being called to stand up and claim responsibility for your own becoming. And when you do, you'll realize this truth was never meant to hurt you. It was meant to wake you up. There's a quiet exhaustion that comes from being nice all the time, not kind, nice. The kind of nice that swallows words. The kind that smiles when it's hurting. The kind that says it's okay when it absolutely is not. Many women wear niceness like armor, believing it would protect them. But over time, that armor becomes heavy, and it starts to suffocate the very thing it was meant to protect, your peace. You were praised for being agreeable, for being easy, for not making waves. Somewhere along the way, you learned that love was earned by how much you gave, how little you asked for, how quietly you endured. And at first, it feels noble. It feels generous. It feels right. Until one day you realize you are tired in a way sleep can't fix. Niceness, when it comes at the cost of your truth, is not a virtue. It is a habit, and habits can be unlearned. I've seen women bend themselves into shapes they no longer recognize just to be liked. I've seen them apologize for taking up space. I've seen them stay silent to keep the peace, not realizing that the peace they were keeping was everyone else's, not their own. And slowly, resentment grows. Not always toward others, but toward themselves, because deep down they know they abandoned their own needs. Here's the truth that changes everything. Every time you say yes when your heart is saying no, you teach people that your boundaries are negotiable. And the world will always negotiate with someone who doesn't stand firm in their worth. This doesn't mean you stop being compassionate. It means you stop being available at the expense of your well-being. Kindness is rooted in strength. Niceness is rooted in fear. Fear of rejection, fear of conflict, fear of being misunderstood. But avoiding discomfort only delays growth. There is courage in disappointing people. There is maturity in choosing yourself without guilt. And there is profound peace in realizing that being respected feels better than being liked. Setting boundaries will feel unnatural at first. You may feel selfish, you may feel harsh, you may feel like you're becoming someone you don't recognize. But that discomfort is not a warning. It's a sign of healing. It's the sound of you reclaiming your voice. Not everyone will understand this version of you. Some people benefited from your silence, from your flexibility, from your constant availability. When you change, they may accuse you of being distant or cold, but what they're really reacting to is the loss of access. And that is not your burden to carry. You are not here to be consumed, you are here to contribute. Consciously, intentionally, and without self-erasure. Peace is not something you find after everyone else is happy. Peace is something you choose, even if it unsettles others. And the moment you stop explaining your boundaries is the moment they become real. As you move toward 2026, ask yourself this honestly. How many times did you betray yourself just to keep the peace? How many nights did you lie awake replaying conversations where you wished you had spoken up? Those moments are teachers, not regrets. They are invitations to do better for yourself. You don't owe constant access to anyone. You don't owe endless emotional labor. You don't owe politeness in the face of disrespect. What you owe is honesty, first to yourself. When you choose self-respect, your life becomes quieter. Not because there's less happening, but because there's less inner conflict. You stop overthinking, you stop explaining, you stop performing, and in that quiet, something sacred returns, clarity. Let this be the year you choose boundaries over burnout. Let this be the season you understand that your peace is not negotiable. You can be loving without losing yourself. You can be generous without being drained. You can be kind without being small. And once you learn that, you will never confuse niceness with worth again. There is a belief many women carry quietly, almost innocently, that love will fix everything. That if the right person arrives, the ache will disappear, the doubt will soften, the emptiness will finally feel full. And so love becomes a destination instead of a mirror. But here is the truth that changes the course of a woman's life. Love will not heal what self-worth has not touched. You don't fall into the wrong love because you are weak. You fall into it because it feels familiar. Familiar patterns feel safe, even when they hurt. And when you've learned to measure your value by how much you are needed, you will mistake intensity for intimacy and attachment for affection. Many women give their hearts before they give themselves permission to heal. They believe love is the medicine, not realizing it often exposes the wound. And when love becomes a way to escape loneliness, instead of an extension of wholeness, it turns into a negotiation. You accept less, you explain more, you stay longer than you should. I've seen this cycle repeat in the lives of brilliant, capable women. They achieve, they endure, they succeed, yet in love they abandon themselves. They silence their intuition, they shrink their needs, they convince themselves that effort will eventually turn into respect. But love doesn't work like that. Love does not grow where self-worth is absent. It only reveals the absence more clearly. When you don't believe you are enough, you will tolerate crumbs and call it commitment. You will excuse inconsistency and label it complexity. You will chase potential instead of honoring reality. And slowly, you begin to confuse longing with love. Real love does not ask you to disappear. It does not require you to audition. It does not demand that you betray yourself to be chosen. Healthy love is not a reward for suffering. It is a partnership rooted in mutual respect. Before you ask someone to love you deeply, ask yourself an honest question. Do I believe I am worthy of that love without proving anything? Because the way you answer that question determines the relationships you allow into your life. Self-worth is not arrogance. It is alignment. It is knowing what you bring to the table and refusing to sit where you are not valued. It is understanding that loneliness is not solved by proximity, but by connection. And connection begins within. Healing yourself does not mean you become closed off. It means you become selective. You stop confusing attention with affection. You stop romanticizing emotional unavailability. You stop trying to earn love through sacrifice. And here's the part that takes courage. Healing may require you to be alone for a while. Not because you are unlovable, but because you are learning to love yourself without distraction. Solitude teaches you what you were trying to receive from others. It gives you clarity. It strengthens your boundaries. It helps you recognize the difference between desire and destiny. When you heal, your standards change. What once felt exciting may begin to feel exhausting. What once felt familiar may begin to feel limiting. And that is growth. You are not becoming difficult, you are becoming discerning. Love is not meant to rescue you from yourself. It is meant to walk beside you once you have found your footing. Two whole people build something stronger than two wounded hearts clinging to each other for survival. As 2026 approaches, understand this deeply. The relationship you have with yourself sets the tone for every other relationship in your life. If you abandon yourself, others will follow your lead. If you honor yourself, you invite love that is steady, respectful, and real. You don't need love to complete you. You need self-trust to protect you. And when you choose yourself first, not selfishly, but honestly, love stops being a search and measure recognition. Heal first. Stand whole. Then love will meet you where you truly are. There is a moment when motivation fades, not because you stopped believing, but because belief alone is not enough. Passion rises easily. It's exciting, emotional, loud. But passion doesn't stay, discipline does. And the hard truth every woman must accept is this: discipline will take you where motivation never will. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings are loyal only when life is easy. Discipline is a decision, and decisions stay even when the mood disappears. There were seasons in my life where I did not feel confident, I did not feel inspired, I did not feel certain, but I showed up anyway. I worked when no one was watching, I practiced when no one was praising, I prepared when the outcome was uncertain, and slowly, quietly, those unseen hours began to shape my future. Success is not built in moments of excitement, it is built in repetition, in the ordinary days, in the uncomfortable routines, in the discipline to keep going even when the results are invisible. Many women wait to feel ready, they wait to feel fearless, they wait to feel worthy. But readiness is not a feeling, it is a habit, and habits are built through action, not intention. Discipline is choosing the long road when the short one is tempting. It is saying no to distractions that steal your focus. It is honoring your commitments to yourself even when breaking them would be easier. And most importantly, discipline is self-respect in action. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen your identity. You begin to trust yourself. And self-trust is the foundation of confidence. Not loud confidence, grounded confidence. The kind that doesn't need approval because it's built on consistency. There is a loneliness that comes with discipline, because disciplined people often walk alone, while others are resting, you are refining. While others are distracted, you are building, and it can feel unfair. But that loneliness is temporary. The results are not. You don't need to do everything, you need to do the right things repeatedly. Discipline is not about perfection, it's about commitment. It's about returning to your path even after you've fallen off it. Some days you will fail, some days you will doubt yourself. Discipline doesn't disappear when that happens. It waits, it invites you back. It reminds you that progress is not linear, but persistence is powerful. As you move toward 2026, ask yourself this honestly: what would my life look like if I honored my goals the way I honor other people's expectations? What if you showed up for your dreams with the same reliability you show up for everyone else? Your future does not need your motivation. It needs your consistency. It needs your patience. It needs your willingness to do the work when it feels heavy and unrewarding. Discipline is not punishment. It is devotion. Devotion to the woman you are becoming. Devotion to the life you know you are capable of building. And one day you will look back and realize it wasn't the moments when you felt inspired that changed your life. It was the moment when you refused to quit. There is a quiet grief that comes with growth. It doesn't look like heartbreak, but it feels just as heavy. It's the realization that not everyone who started with you can come with you. And the hard truth is this: you will outgrow people. And that is not betrayal. From a young age, many women are taught that loyalty means staying, no matter the cost. That love means endurance. That leaving is failure. So when growth creates distance, guilt rushes in. You question yourself. You wonder if you're becoming cold, selfish, or ungrateful. But growth was never meant to keep you small, just to keep others comfort. Abel, every relationship has a season. Some people come into your life to teach you how to love. Others come to teach you how to let go. And some are only meant to walk with you until you learn the lesson they were assigned to bring. Outgrowing someone doesn't mean you think you're better than them. It means you're different. Your values shift. Your priorities change. Your tolerance for chaos lowers. And suddenly, conversations that once felt natural begin to feel heavy. Places that once felt like home begin to feel restrictive. This is not arrogance, it is alignment. I've learned that the most painful goodbyes are the ones that happen silently. No fight, no closure, just distance, just understanding. And those goodbyes can feel confusing because they are not dramatic enough to justify the grief they carry. But they matter, because they mark the moment you chose growth over familiarity. Some people will not recognize you when you evolve. They only know the version of you who overgave, over-explained, and overextended. When you change, they may feel threatened. They may accuse you of changing. But the truth is, you were always meant to change. Growth is not disloyalty, it is obedience to your becoming. Letting go doesn't always mean cutting people off. Sometimes it means loving them from a distance. Sometimes it means releasing expectations. Sometimes it means accepting that the role they once played in your life has ended. And acceptance is harder than anger, but far more peaceful. You are allowed to choose environments that support who you are becoming, not who you used to be. You are allowed to leave spaces that drain your spirit, even if you once belonged there. You are allowed to prioritize your peace without explaining yourself. There is a version of you that needed certain people to survive, and there is a new version of you that needs different energy to thrive. Honoring that transition is an act of self-respect. As 2026 approaches, understand this. You cannot grow and stay the same. Something must change. And often that something is not your ambition or your dreams. It's your circle. Release with grace. Hold no bitterness. Carry gratitude for what was. But do not chain yourself to relationships that no longer align with your values. Growth requires space. And sometimes, space is created by letting go. You are not abandoning anyone by choosing yourself. You are simply honoring the path you were always meant to walk. There is a war many women fight in silence. It happens in mirrors, in photographs, in quiet moments when the world isn't watching. It's the battle against their own bodies. And the hard truth is this: your body was never the problem. Your relationship with it was. From an early age, you were taught to critique yourself before anyone else could. To measure your worth in inches, weight, and reflection. To believe that confidence was something you earned only after you changed. And slowly, without realizing it, you turned your body into a project instead of a home. But your body has never asked you to hate it. It has only asked you to listen. This body has carried you through heartbreak, exhaustion, illness, pressure, and survival. It has shown up for you on days when your spirit felt tired. It has held your breath during fear and steadied you during pain. And yet, many women speak to their bodies with a cruelty they would never use on someone they love. Respect begins before confidence. Care comes before acceptance. You do not need to love your body every day, but you do need to stop punishing it. The way you treat your body is a reflection of how safe you feel within yourself. When you deny it rest, nourishment, or kindness, you're not being disciplined, you're being disconnected. True discipline is rooted in not control. There was a moment in my life when I realized I had spent years negotiating with my reflection instead of honoring my resilience. I had thanked my ambition, but ignored my endurance. That shift changed everything. When I stopped seeing my body as something to fix and started seeing it as something to protect, my confidence stopped being conditional. Confidence is not the absence of flaws. It is the presence of respect. It's choosing movement that feels strengthening instead of punishing. It's choosing food that nourishes instead of shames. It's allowing rest without guilt. It's understanding that your body is not an obstacle on your journey. It is the vehicle. Your body listens to how you speak to it. Every insult leaves an imprint. Every act of care builds trust, and trust between you and your body creates alignment. Alignment creates presence. Presence creates power. As 2026 approaches, make a quiet promise to yourself. I will stop fighting the body that carries my dreams. I will treat it like an ally, not an enemy. You don't need perfection to be powerful. You need compassion to be consistent. The more you respect your body, the more it supports you. Energy flows where appreciation goes. Your worth has never lived in your appearance. It lives in your breath, your strength, your resilience, your story. And the moment you understand that, you stop asking mirrors for permission to feel whole. Your body is not an apology. It is evidence of survival. Honor it. Faith is often misunderstood as patience without movement, as I wait quietly for things to work out, as hoping without stepping forward. But the hard truth is this: faith is not passive. It is courageous action. Faith begins where certainty ends. It is not the absence of fear. It is movement in the presence of fear. It is choosing to take the next step even when the full staircase is hidden. And for many women, this is where growth feels most terrifying, because action requires responsibility, and responsibility removes excuses. I prayed with shaking hands. I have stepped forward without guarantees. I have trusted paths that made no sense on paper. And what faith taught me is this: clarity doesn't come before action. It comes because of action. Many women say they trust God, trust life, trust the process. But they hesitate when it's time to move. They wait for signs, for validation, for reassurance that it will all work out. But faith does not ask you to wait for proof. Faith asks you to believe enough to begin. You don't need to know how it will happen. You need to know why you're moving. Purpose is stronger than certainty. Fear will always try to sound logical. It will tell you to wait until you're more prepared, more confident, more qualified. But fear disguises itself as wisdom when it wants to keep you still. Faith, on the other hand, whispers softly but persistently, try. Faith is not reckless. It is rooted. It is grounded in the understanding that even if you fall, you will not fall alone. That even if the plan changes, you are still guided. That even if the outcome surprises you, the lesson will shape you. Action is how faith becomes real. Prayer without movement becomes avoidance. Belief without effort becomes illusion. But when faith and action walk together, momentum is created. Every breakthrough I've experienced came after a decision that scared me, not because I was fearless, but because I was willing to be uncomfortable, willing to be misunderstood, willing to trust that obedience to my calling mattered more than the approval of others. Faith does not promise ease. It promises meaning. It promises growth. It promises that even your failures will not be wasted. As you move toward 2026, ask yourself this honestly. Where have I been, Raying but not moving? Where have I been asking for courage but avoiding action? You don't need to leap. You need to step. One honest step forward is an act of faith. Walk like you are guided, not guaranteed. Trust that the ground will meet you as you move. And remember, God doesn't need you fearless. He needs you willing. Before you step forward, pause just for a moment and listen. Time does not heal what honesty avoids. Years can pass, seasons can change, faces can come and go. But the truth you refuse to face will wait for you patiently. It will follow you into new relationships, into new goals, into new years. Time is not a healer by itself. The truth is, healing begins the moment you stop pretending you're fine. The moment you name what hurt you, the moment you forgive yourself for what you didn't know then. Faith does not ask you to erase your past. It asks you to redeem it. There are things you survived that you never processed. Prayers you whispered through tears that were never answered the way you expected. Decisions you made out of fear instead of faith. And still, you are here. That alone is evidence of grace. God does not waste pain. Every disappointment carried a lesson. Every delay protected you from something you couldn't see. Every closed door redirected you towards strength you didn't know you had. But grace requires honesty. You cannot carry old wounds into a new year and expect peace to magically appear. You must release what no longer belongs to you, not with bitterness, with trust. As you step into 2026, step lighter. Lay down the guilt, lay down the shame, lay down the version of yourself that survived but never truly lived. Choose courage over comfort. Choose faith over fear. Choose growth over familiarity. You are not late. You are not forgotten. You are not disqualified by your past. You are being prepared. Don't just dream, wake up and walk in faith. Don't wait for permission. Move with purpose. And when doubt whispers, remember this truth: what God has for you will not miss you. Stand tall, move forward, and step into the life you were always meant to live.